Hey y'all, it's Megan again, and in this video, we are sewing up these cute little curved zipper pouches. You just need an 8-inch zipper, and really scrap fabrics work for this. You don't need much, and then you'll also need some fusible fleece. Okay, so you need to cut two main upper pieces that are mirror images. You also need to cut one lower main piece. And then you need to cut one lining piece, and you also need to cut one inner lining piece in fusible fleece. And then you also need two small zipper end pieces, one in the main and one in the lining. The little outside main piece will show, so you could do a contrasting fabric if you wanted, and then your 8-inch zipper. The first step is going to be to attach the upper main pieces to the lower main piece. So you're going to put them right sides together, and you're going to stitch them together with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Once they are stitched, you're going to press the seam toward the upper main piece, and you're going to understitch or top stitch, catching that seam underneath. You could also add some trim or some lace to the seam or on top of the seam if you wanted to. Then you're going to add that fusible fleece on to that main piece, and you'll just now treat that as one piece. Next, grab your zipper and your zipper end pieces. You're going to place the main zipper end on the right side of the zipper, aligning the ends. And then you're going to flip it over, and you're going to place the lining zipper on the other side with the right sides together. And then you will stitch it together through the zipper end pieces and also through the zipper. Then you are going to flip those pieces right side out, and you're going to unzip your zipper, and with the right side of the zipper facing the right side of that front piece, we're going to pin the zipper along the curved edge. So match the bottom of the zipper end pieces to the bottom of that curved edge, and then you're going to walk the zipper, pinning it in place. I like to clip into the zipper tape along the curve to help ease it, and just pin it in place. Once you have it all pinned, then you're going to switch your feet to the zipper foot on your machine, and you're going to baste the zipper in place with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Once this is basted, I do like to just make sure everything is looking okay, and I unzip the zipper, making sure I didn't catch anything incorrectly. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. You're going to pin it with right sides together, starting from the bottom edge and then walking the zipper up. I'm just making sure that everything is aligning together. And then again, I'm going to baste it in place using a 1/4 inch seam here. And then once again, I like to flip it and make sure that the zipper is working nicely and everything is lining up. Next, it's time to attach the lining. So I have the bag unzipped, and I'm going to pin the lining to the main with the right sides together with the zipper in between. So I am just clipping the lining and aligning them together on that curved edge. Once everything is pinned together, then using my zipper foot again, I am going to stitch that lining to the main piece using a 3/8 inch seam. Make sure not to get too close to the zipper teeth, or you're going to have trouble using the zipper, unzipping it and zipping it. Once that seam is sewn, the same as every step, I like to flip it and make sure that everything is working nicely and I didn't get too close to the zipper teeth. Then I'm going to flip it back and it's time to sew the other side of the lining. Again, aligning the raw edges of that curved seam with the lining and the main pieces sandwiching the zipper, and then stitch it with that 3/8 inch seam. Once I've checked again for the millionth time that the zipper is working great, I'm going to flip it wrong sides out again, and it's time to sew the side seam. So we are going to match the upper front and lower front seam, put a clip there, and then you're also going to match the zipper seam and add a clip there. And then you're going to align the lining side as well. And we are going to stitch this together, leaving an opening on the lining side so we can flip it right sides out later. Stitch this with a 3/8 inch seam and switch back to your normal foot. Once this is sewn, I am going to press the unsewn portion on the lining 3/8 inch towards the wrong side, and then it's time to box out our corners. So starting with the main, I'm going to open and flatten the seam so that that side seam we just sewn is in the center. It's going to look just like this, and you're going to sew that together with a 3/8 inch seam. And then you're going to repeat this step on the lining side. So you are going to open that corner and flatten it out. I do like to make sure that that seam is pressed open like this, and then stitch that together again using the same 3/8 inch seam allowance. Then we need to box out this curved side. So on this side, you're going to flatten the main and then flatten the lining, and you're going to sew them together at the same time. So they are stacked. The lining and the main are together, and you're going to stitch it with a 3/8 inch seam allowance, and then it's time to flip it right side out. I'm just going and I'm trimming any extra seam, extra zipper tape, anything that I see that might make the seams bulky. Flipping it right side out through the lining, and you can go give it a nice press, and then we need to close the opening that we flipped it right sides out. So you can either hand stitch this close, or you can just use your machine to top stitch that opening close, which is what I like to do. I then went and pressed it nicely with my iron, making sure that I pressed the main and the lining away from the zipper teeth. I'm going to switch back to my zipper foot, and I'm going to top stitch all the way around the zipper and the opening of the bag so that this will help keep the lining or the main fabric from getting in the way of the zipper, and it also just holds that lining in place. I find it easiest to flip the wrong side out to top stitch this, and once you're done, your little zip bag is complete. After you make one of these, they really come together really quickly when you know the process, and they're really cute. You could fill them up with goodies. You can make them in different fabrics, whatever the recipient loves, or you can make them for yourself to hold your sewing tools and your needles. As always, if you have any questions, you can leave them down below and I will try to answer them. If you make one of these little zipped bags, we would love to see them posted in our Facebook group, or tag me on Instagram at Made for Mermaids, hashtag Made for Mermaids Patterns.